Welcome back to the channel, everyone, and happy Valentine's Day to those who celebrate. Luke,
Yes.
Charlie XCX is dropping a new album this week,
Sweet.
and they made some sort of movie to coincide with it.
They did. Emerald Fennell's Wuthering Heights.
I heard it's going to be a very faithful adaptation of the book. I know you're pumped.
I'm willing to reserve, and I'll explain later why I'm willing to reserve some hope. I'm already skeptical given the casting and the choice of trailer, but we can we can get into that later.
In celebration of her new movie, we decided we're going to take a look back at her last movie, which also starred Jacob Elordi, Saltburn. It was a highly contentious movie that Amazon made, and I'm sure if you've seen it, you understand why. Before we dive into that, go ahead and absolutely smash that like button, click that subscribe button, please. It really helps us out as a small channel. We're trying to grow. Appreciate it. Without further ado, I want to start with the good because I assume we both have less good than bad. So I'll let you take it away with some things you like.
For the most part, I enjoyed it more on this watch than when I watched it when everyone did. I think this was the most streamed movie in the history of the platform, Amazon Prime, or at least it was at the time of its release. And all it became was the meme movie where the guy drinks the bathwater and sodomizes a grave. So I think I went into the movie just being like, okay, when is he gonna make love to dirt? And I think that kind of downplays that the first 30 minutes are like a pretty good coming of age college romance, maybe even like some darker obsession notes. Obviously, we get deeper into that as far as the movie goes. But the performances from Jacob Elordi, who plays Felix, and Barry Keoghan, who plays Oliver, they're pretty solid. The themes of class, the themes of, obsession, love, sexual fluidity, perversion. I thought it was gearing up to be a pretty interesting movie up until they went to the Saltburn Manor.
Well, I also want to shout out Rosamund Pike as the mom and
Yeah.
Richard Grant as the dad. They're both hilarious. And that's, I think, a really big positive of this movie. The characters are really well done and they're all uniquely terrible. And there's some very genuinely hilarious moments. It's played to be mostly serious, but it's definitely like still kind of a dark comedy, which I think is probably the most entertaining aspect of it.
I really like Oliver's initial introduction as the lower class kid who wants to be accepted. He doesn't want to hang out with the dude who shouts at him to name a random equation that he can solve.
I believe
He just wants to be a part of the in crowd, and he can't dress like it. That's just not who he is. And I think that's a well played part of the story.
Something I do really want to compliment is it looks incredible. I mean, it's beautifully shot, and I love the 4:3 aspect ratio they use. If you're not familiar, that's more of like a square ratio versus your typical like kind of widescreen. I feel like there would be a lot more grandeur if you did see it in the theater, which is typical for any movie, but
Yeah.
especially this one. They have a montage of them doing fun rich people things with Time to Pretend playing. I mean, I'm just a sucker for that. It's pretty cliche, but it just works every time. You're like, that looks like a blast and a half. I wish I was a part of that.
And I think, as far as at least through the beginning of the movie again, and even through Felix's, spoiler alert, Felix's entire life, he has his shortcomings. He has his faults. He clearly is ignorant to how the real world works because he has so much money and he comes from pseudo royalty. His house has a name. I've never lived in a house with a name before, but he is a character who exists in reality, and you can kind of excuse some of his like debauchery as like he's just a dumb rich kid. It's far less malicious than some of the behavior we see from other characters later on.
Oh, I agree. I think he's easily the most virtuous and kind person. Like he definitely has his shortcomings still. And you hear kind of hints of like him kind of casting aside people once he gets bored of them in the past. But I mean, he's the only one that has any sort of decency.
He goes out of his way to become best friends with Oliver, even though we later learned that was a trap. Oliver's plan relied totally on Felix being like a somewhat kind person.
Yeah, 100%. It truly, yeah, because even all of his friends are multiple times throughout the movie like, no one likes him except you. Like, why do you keep bringing this guy around?
That conversation with his girlfriend at the time, who ends up drunkenly hooking up with Oliver.
Oh, yeah, that's brutal.
Just absolutely horrible.
But speaking of absolutely horrible, I feel like it's time to get into why this movie falls apart. This movie really loses its identity after Jacob Elordi dies, and like kind of by the time they're at Saltburn, but truly towards like the latter half of the movie, where Barry Keoghan just like has this switch to a talented Mr. Ripley-esque person where he's manipulating and he's clearly there for more nefarious purposes. I don't think any of that really works at all.
Once we are introduced to Oliver's family and see that his dad's alive and they're not like living out of a shack, drunk off their asses or anything. Once that wool is pulled from over our eyes, I guess the thought was we have to go full send on Oliver. He's been a liar this whole time. He's irredeemable, but he's not. He could have just been someone trying to fit in and he told a lie that got out of hand. And instead, it's like, nope, he's a total sociopath. And like you said, the movie goes off the rails so much after Jacob Elordi bites the dust because we already know everything now. We don't necessarily know that he put the nail in his bike tire, but that's kind of beside the point. We know he's manipulative. We know he's evil. We know he's doing this for nefarious purposes. And then we just have to watch him around and sneak and murder for the next nearly hour.
They treat all these twists like there's a montage of all these moments where you thought it was natural things happening, just coincidental, and
Yeah.
it's him plotting and planning, and you're watching it like, yeah, man, like we know.
Yeah, he
Like,
told us.
yeah, like it's obvious that he killed Jacob Elordi. It's obvious that his sister either committed suicide or he made it to look that way. Like
He
he's clearly this like spider. I love that scene too where she confronts him and calls him the Spider Man. He's just like skulking around the house.
There's an hour of twists that aren't twists. And then there is Emerald Fennell's, unfortunately so far, kind of her calling card, which is depravity for depravity's sake. Once you have the bathwater scene, which is already like, okay, we already knew he was obsessed with him, but let's really like put a hat on a hat on a hat. Then everything after that is beating a dead horse. And even like, did his sister have to be menstruating? Like they had their little tryst like that. It seemed like, again, depravity for depravity's sake. He goes from being like a misunderstood, manipulative person to like genuinely a supervillain. I really wish after Fennell had written the first 30 minutes or all of Act 1, she could have passed it on to just like someone with a little bit of a sharper mind for story structure and sanity.
Yeah, I agree. Some of these really shocking moments, there's no payoff or thematic importance to them. They just don't like he and the sister end up just not really even talking the rest of the movie, and she just hates him like after he starts to ignore her.
It's just no fun. Like there isn't a moment like you can do all that kind of crazy, nasty stuff as long as there's like maybe a turn and a wink every once in a while, but instead it's just like beating you over the head with it and it's dark and ugh.
And I think that a big reason for why Oliver Quick's character really just kind of takes this huge turn, Emerald Fennell comes from a ton of money. And I think she was raised around a lot of these really wealthy individuals, and that's why she's able to write them in such a comedic way because she's been around it so much. It's really easy for her to parody. But Oliver Quick's supposed to be a pretty normal person from normal upbringing, and I think she probably got halfway through the story and was like, "Oh shit, I actually have no idea or ability to relate to a person that grew up this way. So I guess I'll just make them have a crazy heel turn."
That actually, that's an interesting point. I don't know anything and I won't speak on Emerald Fennell's life, but I believe you. The main problem with Oliver up until his turn, he's kind of a bore. If you're Felix, you'd have no reason to remain friends with this guy other than blind loyalty. He offers nothing in the way of support or real camaraderie at any point to anyone in the movie.
He's got a monster hog.
He does.
You didn't think about that, did you?
I will say that I said most of the movie was no fun for the last hour, but him dancing around for the last 8 minutes, that was pretty fun.
That needle drop at the very end and him dancing around is an incredible ending. That is great.
Yeah, if we had taken a different route to get there, I think I would have really enjoyed that.
I do real quick want to just really drive the point home that his plan makes no fucking sense and doesn't work logically at all. And let me just walk you through this.
Okay.
So they find Felix's body. They do an autopsy. This is the son of an incredibly wealthy and historical family. They find out he's been poisoned from some sort of substance. They're like, oh, who was around the house? Family, staff, whatever. Okay, cool. Who's that guy? And they'll be like, oh, it's his buddy from school that he's known for 6 months. So like, all right, we'll look into him. Oh, he's been lying about his entire background. He for sure murdered him.
Yeah.
Case closed. You're going to prison.
No,
There's no way he would ever get away with this if these cops have any sort of intelligence.
no, and the reality, and even if the cops of this town are morons, like you said, this is a rich, well-connected man. He's hiring private investigators to look into Oliver's family. I mean, this case is broken open 2 months tops.
If not the first week, they'd be like, "Who saw Jacob Elordi last?" And the girl he was with would probably be like, "I left. I was with him, and then this weirdo came up and started harassing him, so I walked away." Just immediately going to like I don't. It's just so stupid. Like even at the end when he kills the mother by removing her breathing tube, he just removed a person who's still alive's breathing apparatus, and they died. Like that's a crime. Like they would understand that he did that, or someone did.
I
But
mean,
you don't just get away with doing something like that.
him and the housekeeper are the only two suspects.
I don't know. It's like it's supposed to be this big, like, whoa, I didn't see that coming. It's like, well, yeah, because it's really stupid and it would never actually make any sense in the real world.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't make any sense. And in addition to that, it's not made up for with any like charm or charisma. I left this not super impressed with Barry Keoghan for the most part. Like I think if Jacob Elordi were given as little to do as Barry Keoghan, where he maybe could have made something out of it. Maybe that's me expecting too much from an actor. I think is pretty talented. Plot makes no sense. It's not fun to watch, and it's overall just kind of stupid.
Yeah, it really is, and I don't wanna keep going back to this, but I have to say this. Oliver, like you said, is boring as hell. He's just kind of a piece of wood. But when he gets these individual characters alone, he, like, turns on this charm, and that's how he kind of wheels his way around, but it's like, why don't you just act that way all the time, and then you just have friends, you freak? Like
Then you get a job. Makes
yeah. Like, it's shown that he's incredibly smart, so
Right.
it's like he's incredibly smart, but his scheme makes totally 0 sense. I don't know, it's just yeah, this
Yeah.
movie's just so stupid.
It's ridiculous. And I do think like it's stupid beyond the reasons Twitter said it was stupid week one, which it's also stupid for those reasons. But I think like there was probably a surge to recontextualize this movie and actually like classify it as somewhat of you didn't get it at first, you were too, immature, being shocked by the sex. And it's like, no, this is just stupid.
Yeah, nobody. There's nothing to get
Also,
except that it just makes no sense.
shout out to the American character who just sucked every second he was on screen.
Yeah, he was the worst. Yeah, I don't very annoying.
What does watching this make you think about the upcoming super hit, Wuthering Heights?
Charlie XCX music is gonna be in it either way, so I'm gonna be pretty thrilled. But I think it'll be a fun movie. I mean, it's two beautiful people just hooking up, so that's pretty cool.
I really hope because the things that encouraged me while I was watching this, because Wuthering Heights is one of my favorite books. At least,
Nerd.
at least I was assigned in high school, and I was encouraged by the fact that the book itself deals a lot with obsession and class and perceived deviancy. I'm not going to get into how much the casting of Jacob Elordi frustrates me because I mean he's a good actor, so whatever, I'll get over it. I think that she has the tools to tell this story well. She obviously is able to shoot that kind of giant manor landscape pretty well, and she didn't write it. I think that's like the key is that if she follows the book at least somewhat closely, then we won't have to deal with the nonsensical last 90 minutes of this movie. Concrete's already there. She just has to paint it pretty.
I think you're right. I do think this movie's gonna be kind of the popcorn, hyper stylized version of a classic novel. Like
It just
it's gonna
looks,
be played for way more for entertainment
yeah.
value than thematic importance.
The trailer looks a lot more like 50 Shades of Grey than it does to Jane Eyre, but it'll be okay.
Speaking of 50 Shades of Grey and kinks such as slurping up someone's bathwater, I'll segue into our fun facts section this week. I've titled it Facts So Fun You'll Want to Slurp Their Bathwater.
I don't like the word slurp.
First, it was just drink, and I was like, we could do better than that. Did you know that this movie takes place, they're the class of 2006, so around 2002, early 2000s era, and they're all watching Superbad at their house, a movie that came out in 2007.
I think we can kind of just safely say for most of this movie, we have no idea how much time has passed. I think it's 2022 at the end.
I don't know. To me, it's like if you're gonna establish it's at a certain time period, like it's really not that big of a deal. But it's like if you're gonna establish it's a certain time period, adhere to it at
Yeah,
least.
I agree.
That brings me to my second fun fact. Did you know that both Barry Keoghan and I have a very large and girthy appreciation for film?
Oh, I did not know that. Has he done the Criterion Closet?
You know, I don't know if he could fit in the closet with his monster wang.
Alright, that was good.
All right, final one, best for last. Did you know Saltburn will return in Avengers Doomsday?
Couldn't get Halle Berry to be Storm, but we got Saltburn, damn it.
I mocked up a potential line reading from the movie, little fanfic. Mr. Fantastic turns and says, "Quick, Saltburn, use your massive hog to distract Doom."
I like that Oliver's name is Saltburn now.
Yeah, naturally.
Alright, how do you wanna rate it?
Compared to Dakota Johnson's The Materialists, I said this movie was worse.
I think this is the first one, and there have been some close calls. This is the first one that's easily inferior.
I agree.
We actually agreed the whole video this time.
When a movie's obviously bad, it makes it pretty easy.
Agreed.
Well, that's about it for us. Let us know in the comments if you are interested in Wuthering Heights, if you're going to go see it at the theater, what your thoughts on Saltburn were, and whose bathwater would you like to drink? Can't wait to see your all's responses. And once again, like and subscribe if you enjoyed this content. We appreciate the support. Luke, thank you as always.
Of course. Peace.
We'll see you next week.